This is a Patreon requested video, and not just a Patreon requested review, but a special birthday Patreon requested review. So happy 40th, Jeremy. I'm excited to dive into this. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my Patreon spoiler talk review for the 1983 film Tough Enough, starring Dennis Quaid. Oh yeah, you want to see Dennis Quaid be young? You want to see him be tough? You want to see him beat the ever-living snot out of people as a country western music singer? I kid you not, that's actually a movie. I didn't even know this existed. So thank you, Jeremy, for letting me know that this movie actually exists and giving me the opportunity to watch it for this review. So this is a patron-requested birthday review for Jeremy. So happy, a little bit belated birthday, Jeremy, but I'm super excited to be able to do this review for you. Hey, if you want to check out my Patreon page and help support Durbania and see my different levels of rewards for different levels of giving, definitely check out my Patreon link in the comment section. No, in the description. Yes, in the description below. So make sure you check out that link and see what's going on over there. Without further ado, Tough Enough, 1983, starring Dennis Quaid. So this is the literal description off of IMDb. It kind of says it far better than I could, so I'm just going to read it real quick. It says, an aspiring country western singer whose money is disappearing faster than his career opportunities. I mean, just that there is really depressing. Enters a tough man amateur boxing contest to earn some cash to pay his bills. Amazingly enough, he wins it and is picked to go on to the national finals. And he's torn between his first love, music, and the glitz and glamour and money of the tough man world. So it really is an interesting movie about somebody who just has the, you know, pure ambition to be an artist, to be a singer, and then has to make ends meet, and then ends up getting tempted by the fame of making that ends meet and, you know, kind of the attention that he's wanted through his music, but he's not getting it through his music, he's getting it through this tough man competition. Let me just start by saying I'm giving this movie a B-, just above average. Honestly, it's like not my favorite type of movie, and when this movie started, I thought it was kind of slow. Like, I really did it. Like, when it was starting, I was like, oh boy, oh, this is gonna be a long hour and 45 minutes. And then as the movie began to progress, and as the story began to develop and get a little bit deeper, it began to reel me in more and more, and I got more and more interested, and a lot of it was just following Dennis Quaid's character, Art Long. Like, I think Dennis Quaid did a fantastic job carrying this movie. And so like the description says, he's just this country western music singer who just has no luck with that. I mean, he's able to get a few gigs here and there. In fact, this movie opens, he's got this gig in this bar. And as he's singing, you have this table of three incredibly rude people led by this one huge jerk who's really mad that Dennis Quaid is up there singing and not the pretty girls that were up there just a minute ago. So he starts throwing his food and stuff at Dennis Quaid. So Dennis Quaid just, you know, politely takes off his guitar, sets it down, steps off the stage, and in one single punch, like one punch one guy, one punch the other guy, one punch the big jerk, knocks them all out. I mean, he just knocks him out cold, and the whole crowd goes wild. And so it's like this really cool scene that establishes, number one, Dennis Quaid is talented musically. He's got a good voice. Number two, don't throw burgers at this guy while he's singing. He will knock you out with one punch. So they do a really good job kind of showing you that he is tough. But like, his heart isn't tough. Like, in other words, it's saying that what he really wants to do is be this singer. Being this tough man, being this fighter isn't the main thing he wants to do with his life. But he's got his wife and he's got a kid. And his wife is saying, your music is a hobby. You're incredibly good, but it's a hobby. We gotta pay the bills. And that freaks him out. Because, I mean, don't you love it when somebody calls your passion a hobby? It kind of actually makes me think, you know, of other modern YouTubers as we're sitting here trying to take our hobby and make it our career and get paid for what we love doing. It's a struggle that I honestly really related with. Of Art Long wanting his music to not be a hobby. How sensitive he was to people calling it a hobby. And both like his wife and his dad call it a hobby. Now they're not unsupportive, and that's the interesting thing about these characters. It's not like they took everybody who thought his music was a hobby and made them an enemy. They were just like, dude, you actually got to pay your bills. You actually just got to sit down and think about this. And they weren't even asking him to give up the music. They were just saying, let the hobby be the hobby, but do something to make money. So he signs up for this Tough Man contest, because if he wins, he can make like, what, $5,000, I think, for the first round. I might be a little off on that number. Point is, it's a pretty sufficient amount of money just for that first round before going to nationals, but he has to win this whole thing in this little town. And so he just decides, well, I guess I could live with this. I knocked out 3 guys. And you know what? Just like the description says, he goes through this and he wins. Now, the fighting was actually, like, some of it was pretty good. Like, when the Tough Man competition first began, they did this whole montage of fights before Dennis Quaid's character even goes up to fight. And at first it was kind of cool because it's like, okay, I get it. I'm seeing how tough all these guys are and the competition that Dennis Quaid actually has. And it starts to build that tension for Dennis Quaid sitting in the stands waiting for his name to be called, getting more and more nervous, seeing like how tough all these guys really are. But then after a while, it's like, okay, this montage is so freaking long, it needs to end. I'm tired of this stupid montage. Get to the stupid fight of Dennis Quaid. But when they get Dennis Quaid up there fighting, he does a really great job. He wins the first day, he wins the second day, and he makes a new friend. And that friend is a character named P.T. Coolidge, played by the actor Stan Shaw, and I really ended up liking this character. And P.T. Coolidge, like, is a cool character because even when he was still in the competition, he stood in Dennis Quaid's corner and would, like, help him fight. Like, Dennis Quaid has a natural talent, but at the same time, he needed some coaching in how to use that talent in this actual Tough Man competition against some of these people. So they established a good friendship and a really good bond there. Where this movie got, like, really interesting for me is finally when Dennis Quaid, like his character Art Long, wins, you know, this local competition and gets to go to Detroit for the Nationals. To me, what was so interesting about that is he got to sing a song on national TV. So this guy, Nice, who runs this fighting ring and runs the Nationals and all that stuff, you know, gets him on national TV as part of the deal to get him to go into Detroit and do this fight on top of, like, this $100,000 prize. Yeah. So on top of all of that, he gets Dennis Quaid to go out there and sing live on national TV, which gets Dennis Quaid a music contract. Like, he gets a 3-year contract to do 3 albums, and it's incredible. Like, it's his dream come true. But he's done a couple fights now, and he's got 1 fight left, and it's like this great big championship Tough Man competition fight. And he is kind of won over by the crowd and the prestige. And so he says, look, I have obligations. I promised PT here that I'd give him 20% of my win for coming with me to Detroit and coaching me. So I gotta pay him for coming out here. You know, I made a commitment to this guy Nice. I gotta honor my word. And it sounds kind of honorable, and I think for the most part it is honorable. But there is just that part of him that wants to finish what he started. Yeah, I mean, the description talked about him kind of like, you know, being won over by the prestige and the crowd and cheering, and that was definitely there. But I honestly think all his life, people are telling him to finish what he started and all that stuff, but they want him to not do the music thing because he's not getting paid for it. Now he's got a contract to get paid for it, and he can get off the hook on the fighting thing and do the thing that he's always wanted to do. But now, like, he started something, he doesn't hate it, and he wants to finish what he started. And his wife is totally against this because he's taken some pretty big beatings, and the guy he's gonna fight tonight is like a real fighter, like a monster. And so she's like, don't fight this guy, you're off the hook. Even his friend PT says, dude, you don't have to pay me this, you're off the hook. Do your music, get paid for music. So he gets off the hook on every level, except he wants to finish what he started. The cool thing about that final fight is, like, this dude really is a monster. And when he hits Dennis Quaid, man, like, you can feel the pain. You can feel the jarring pain. But what's interesting is every time Dennis Quaid gets hit, he, like, grabs a hold of the guy and kind of hugs him like that. Because, like, he can't really fight him. Like, Dennis Quaid is such a weaker fighter compared to this guy. But every time he gets him in, like, this hold, music starts to play in his head. At first, I thought it was the weirdest sounding stuff ever. But then as it began to develop, I started to understand what was going on. Like, he kept hugging this guy, and it was irritating me. Like, the crowd was booing, I was booing. It's like, freaking fight! But then I realized, oh, I get it. He's creating a song in his head, and it keeps coming to him when he, like, gets in this hold. So it's really cool because it's like in that moment the music is coming to him, and he's got this career now after this is over, and so he keeps on grabbing hold of this guy so that the music can keep coming to him. And then finally, you know, he wins the championship. And so it's like, it's a really cool movie, and I think it's a cool movie Just about this character, Art Long, who is an artist, who has a family. He's a good man. He doesn't want his music to be his hobby. He wants it to be his career, and he's struggling with that. And then he does this tough man competition, has this competing temptation going on inside of him, honors his commitments, comes out with a 3-year contract. So it's actually a pretty good movie, and it's got a pretty decent message. Again, I leave it with a B- because, like, I was surprised. Like, most of that B- comes from my surprise of how into this story that I ended up getting. Like, I didn't expect to be so drawn in by this story. I mean, it's an older movie. The quality wasn't so great on the version I was watching, and it took a while for it to pull me in. But I was surprised at how it did hook me in once I was hooked in. Otherwise, like, I don't feel like I'd go back and rewatch this movie anytime soon. This is definitely a good movie to check out and try, at least fun for one watch, to watch somebody overcome temptations in their life and do what they want to do with their lives. So, what did you think of this? Have you seen Tough Enough? Let's talk in the comments. Again, Jeremy, happy birthday to you. Hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified from my next retro review, movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, trailer reaction, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.